Hello everyone, and welcome back to another relaxing walking video. Thank you so much for joining me today. This afternoon I'm working in Mississauga, and during my break I decided to take a short walk around the Golden Square Center area and a few nearby community parks. Usually, this part of the city is a wonderful place to enjoy a peaceful summer walk, with families spending time outdoors, children playing in the parks, and people exercising along the walking paths. Today, however, the atmosphere is completely different. The first thing I noticed when I stepped outside was the sky. Instead of its usual bright blue color, it has turned into a strange orange-gray shade, almost as if the sun is trying to shine through a thick layer of fog. The sunlight looks soft and dim, giving the entire neighborhood an unusual appearance. Even more noticeable is the heavy smell of smoke in the air. Within just a few minutes outdoors, I could clearly smell the burning wood carried by the wind from the large wildfires burning far away in northern Ontario and other parts of Canada. The smoke has traveled hundreds of kilometers before reaching the Greater Toronto area. Because of the extremely poor air quality, many people have decided to stay indoors today. The parks are much quieter than usual. There are far fewer people walking outside, and many of those who are outdoors are wearing face masks to reduce their exposure to the smoke. It feels very unusual to see this in Canada, a country that people around the world often associate with clean air, beautiful forests, and an outstanding natural environment. Today's walk is certainly different from my previous videos. Instead of simply enjoying the scenery, I'd also like to talk about the wildfire emergency, why it has become so severe, how firefighters are working tirelessly to control these massive fires, and what each of us can do to help protect our forests and our environment in the years ahead. I sincerely hope the air quality improves soon so everyone can once again enjoy the outdoors safely. As I continue walking through the neighborhood, I can actually notice the effects of the smoke. The sun appears slightly dimmer than usual, and the distant buildings seem covered by a light gray haze. Even though I cannot see the fires themselves, the smoke has traveled an incredible distance before reaching southern Ontario. Wildfire smoke can move hundreds or even thousands of kilometers depending on wind direction and weather patterns. This is why communities that are far away from the actual fires can still experience unhealthy air quality. Health officials often advise people to reduce outdoor activities, especially children, older adults, pregnant women, and anyone with asthma, heart disease, or other respiratory conditions. On days like today, many people choose to stay indoors with windows closed and, if possible, use air filtration systems to reduce exposure to fine particulate matter. Since I usually enjoy taking long walks while recording these videos, I decided to keep today's walk much shorter than normal. My goal is simply to enjoy a little fresh air while avoiding unnecessary exposure to the smoke. Sometimes we take clean air for granted because we cannot see it, but days like this remind us just how valuable healthy air truly is. Hopefully, conditions will improve soon and everyone across the region can safely return to their usual outdoor activities. Many people have been asking why Canada is experiencing so many large wildfires in recent years. The answer is actually quite complex. Wildfires are a natural part of many Canadian forest ecosystems, and they have occurred for thousands of years. Some fires are started by lightning strikes during summer thunderstorms, especially in remote northern forests where there are few roads and very few people. In fact, Lightning is responsible for many of the largest fires in Canada's boreal forest because a single storm can ignite multiple fires over a very large area. Human activity also plays a role. Campfires that are not completely extinguished, discarded cigarettes, sparks from equipment, power line failures, and other accidental causes can all ignite dry vegetation under the right conditions. During particularly hot and dry summers, forests become much more vulnerable because trees, leaves, moss, and dead branches lose moisture and become excellent fuel. Once a fire begins under these conditions, strong winds can spread the flames extremely quickly across large distances. Scientists also point out that warmer average temperatures, longer fire seasons, and more frequent periods of drought have increased the likelihood of extreme wildfire behavior in many parts of Canada. While no single factor explains every wildfire, it is the combination of weather, climate, available forest fuel, and ignition sources that determines how severe a fire season becomes. The fires burning in northern Ontario this season illustrate just how challenging wildfire management can be. Many of these fires occur in remote wilderness where there are no highways, very few communities, and limited access for emergency crews. Firefighters often have to travel by helicopter or aircraft simply to reach the affected areas. Once they arrive, they work under extremely difficult conditions. Temperatures can be very high, smoke limits visibility, and shifting winds can change the direction of a fire with very little warning. Canada uses a combination of highly trained ground crews, helicopters carrying large buckets of water, and specially designed water bombers that scoop thousands of liters of water from nearby lakes before dropping it onto active fire fronts. Heavy machinery is also used to create fire breaks by removing vegetation ahead of the advancing flames, helping to slow the spread of the fire. In some situations, firefighters deliberately set carefully controlled burns to remove fuel before a wildfire reaches an area. Satellite imagery, weather forecasting, drones, and computer modeling also help fire managers predict where fires may spread so resources can be deployed more effectively. During especially severe wildfire seasons, Canada often receives assistance from firefighters and emergency personnel from other provinces and even from international partners, demonstrating how closely countries cooperate when natural disasters become too large for one region to handle alone. As I finish today's short walk, I find myself thinking about how fortunate we normally are to enjoy Canada's beautiful parks, forests, and clean outdoor spaces. Seeing smoke affect our daily lives reminds us that protecting the environment is a shared responsibility. Governments continue investing in wildfire monitoring, emergency response, scientific research, and forest management, while communities work to improve emergency preparedness and public awareness. Individuals also have an important role. We can always respect fire bans, completely extinguish campfires, avoid burning debris during dry weather, properly dispose of cigarettes, and report any signs of wildfire immediately to local authorities. Supporting healthy forests through responsible recreation and conservation also helps protect these incredible natural landscapes. Although climate change is expected to increase the risk of severe wildfire conditions in many regions, experts agree that adaptation, improved forest management, better technology, and international cooperation can reduce future risks and help communities become more resilient. I sincerely hope the dedicated firefighters working across Canada remain safe as they continue protecting people, wildlife, and our forests. Most of all, I hope meaningful rainfall arrives soon to help bring these fires under control and allow the air quality across Ontario to return to its usual healthy standard. Thank you very much for joining me on today's Peaceful Walk. Please take care of yourself. Pay attention to local air quality advisories, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next part of our journey. As I continue my walk through the neighborhood, I can't help but notice how different everything feels compared with my previous visits. Normally, these community parks are full of energy during the afternoon. Parents bring their children to the playground. People enjoy jogging along the walking trails, cyclists pass by every few minutes, and many residents simply sit on a bench to enjoy the summer sunshine. Today, however, the parks are unusually quiet. Only a handful of people are outside, and most of them are walking quickly instead of taking their time. Several people are wearing N95 or medical face masks, while others are carrying water bottles and keeping their outdoor activities as short as possible. Even the birds seem quieter than usual. The orange-colored sky creates an almost surreal atmosphere, making it feel as though the sun is setting even though it is still the middle of the afternoon. Looking around, it is difficult to believe that the fires causing all of this are burning hundreds of kilometers away. Nature constantly reminds us that everything is connected. What happens in a remote forest can eventually affect millions of people living in cities far from the flames. Although today is certainly not ideal for a long walk, I still wanted to record this moment because it has become part of Canada's history. Years from now, we may look back on days like this as reminders of how important it is to protect both our forests and the environment that supports all of us. Many people wonder why these fires become so large before they can be controlled. The answer is not as simple as sending more firefighters. Northern Ontario is covered by vast stretches of boreal forest, with countless lakes, rivers, wetlands, and rugged terrain. Many fire locations have no roads at all, making them accessible only by aircraft or helicopter. When a lightning storm passes through a remote region, it can ignite dozens of separate fires within just a few hours. Fire crews must then decide which fires threaten communities or critical infrastructure and should receive immediate attention. Some fires burning deep in the wilderness are monitored carefully, while resources are concentrated on protecting people and property. Strong winds can rapidly change the direction and intensity of a wildfire, making conditions extremely dangerous for firefighters working on the ground. In addition, dry forests contain enormous amounts of natural fuel, including fallen branches, dead trees, dry grasses, moss, and dense undergrowth. Once these materials ignite, the fire can spread with incredible speed. Even after the visible flames are reduced, hot spots can continue burning underground in peat and tree roots for days or even weeks before reigniting at the surface. This is one reason why wildfire suppression is such a long and challenging process that requires careful planning, patience, and constant monitoring. One thing that gives me great confidence is seeing how many people come together during emergencies like this. Thousands of firefighters, pilots, emergency responders, scientists, forest specialists, indigenous communities, volunteers, and local residents all play important roles in responding to these disasters. Modern wildfire management combines traditional experience with advanced technology. Satellites continuously monitor active fires from space. Drones provide detailed aerial images. Weather stations measure changing conditions. And computer models help predict where a fire may spread over the coming days. Water bombers fly repeated missions, scooping thousands of liters of water from nearby lakes before dropping it directly onto active fire fronts. Helicopters transport firefighters and equipment into remote locations that cannot be reached by road. Bulldozers create fire breaks to slow the advance of flames, while controlled burns are sometimes used to remove vegetation before a wildfire arrives. During particularly severe fire seasons, Canada also welcomes highly trained firefighters from countries such as the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, South Africa, and several European nations. Watching people from different backgrounds work together reminds us that protecting nature is a shared responsibility that goes far beyond provincial or national borders. While climate change has become an important part of discussions about wildfires, experts explain that it is only one piece of a much larger picture. Forest management, weather patterns, natural lightning, insect damage, and decades of accumulated forest fuel all influence how fires develop. Canada's forests have always experienced natural fire cycles, which help some tree species regenerate and maintain healthy ecosystems. However, when forests experience prolonged drought, unusually high temperatures, and low humidity, those natural fires can become much larger and far more difficult to control. This means that reducing greenhouse gas emissions is important for addressing long-term climate change, but it is equally important to improve wildfire preparedness today. Better forest management, including removing excessive fuel near communities, conducting prescribed burns under safe conditions, improving early detection systems, strengthening emergency evacuation plans, and investing in scientific research can all help reduce future wildfire risks. Rather than searching for a single cause or a single solution, it is more helpful to understand that protecting our forests requires many different approaches working together. Nature is incredibly complex, and solving these challenges requires cooperation between governments, scientists, indigenous knowledge holders, firefighters, local communities, and individual citizens. As I slowly make my way back toward the main road, I find myself appreciating the simple things that we often overlook. Clean air is something we rarely think about until it suddenly disappears. On most days, taking a walk through a neighborhood park is one of life's simplest pleasures. Today, every deep breath reminds me how precious fresh air really is. Even though this smoky day has changed my original plans, it has also given me an opportunity to reflect on how closely our lives are connected with nature. We depend on healthy forests not only for beautiful scenery, but also for clean air, clean water, wildlife habitats, and a stable climate. I hope that by sharing today's experience, this video will encourage more people to learn about wildfire safety and appreciate the dedicated men and women who continue working tirelessly to protect our communities. Most importantly, I hope the weather changes soon, bringing steady rainfall to the affected regions and allowing firefighters to gain the upper hand. When that day arrives, Canadians will once again enjoy the blue skies that we often take for granted. Until then, let's continue supporting one another, follow local air quality advisories, and remember that even small actions can make a meaningful difference when we all work together. As I continue my walk, I begin paying closer attention to the little details around me. The streets are noticeably quieter than they would normally be on a summer afternoon. A few cars pass by, but there are fewer pedestrians than usual, and many of the benches in the park remain empty. Every now and then I see someone walking a dog, but even those walks seem much shorter than usual. Most people appear to have a destination in mind rather than simply enjoying the outdoors. Although the smoke has reduced visibility slightly, the trees and gardens are still beautiful, reminding me how resilient nature can be. These green spaces provide a welcome escape from busy city life, and they become even more valuable during difficult times. Looking around, I realize that today's unusual conditions may only last for a short period, but they also leave a lasting impression. They remind us that our environment is something we should never take for granted. We often assume that tomorrow's weather will be much like today's, yet nature has a way of reminding us that conditions can change very quickly. Experiences like this encourage us to appreciate every clear blue sky, every breath of fresh air, and every peaceful afternoon spent walking through our local parks. One encouraging fact is that forests have an incredible ability to recover after wildfires. Although the immediate damage can appear devastating, fire has always been part of the natural cycle in many Canadian forests. Some species, such as jackpine, actually depend on the heat from fire to open their cones and release seeds onto the forest floor. After a fire, sunlight reaches the ground more easily, allowing new grasses, shrubs, and young trees to begin growing. Over time, wildlife gradually returns, and the forest slowly rebuilds itself. This process can take many years or even decades, depending on the severity of the fire and the local environment. However, today's larger and more frequent fires present new challenges. When fires burn too intensely or repeatedly within a short period, recovery becomes more difficult. That is why scientists continue studying better ways to protect forests, while still allowing natural ecological processes to occur. Indigenous communities have also shared valuable knowledge developed over countless generations, including the careful use of cultural burning to reduce excess vegetation and lower wildfire risk. By combining modern science with traditional knowledge, Canada continues improving its approach to forest stewardship and wildfire management. As ordinary citizens, we sometimes wonder whether our individual actions really make a difference. I believe they do. Every responsible decision contributes to protecting our communities and natural landscapes. If we enjoy camping, we should always follow local fire regulations, keep campfires small when permitted, and ensure every fire is completely extinguished before leaving. We should never throw cigarette butts onto the ground or out of a vehicle window, especially during dry weather. When visiting provincial parks or conservation areas, respecting temporary fire bans is one of the simplest ways to reduce unnecessary risks. Beyond wildfire prevention, we can also support environmental conservation by reducing waste, planting native trees where appropriate, conserving energy, and participating in community cleanup activities. These actions may seem small on their own, but when millions of people make thoughtful choices every day, the combined impact can be significant. Protecting nature is not solely the responsibility of governments or firefighters. It is a shared commitment that begins with each of us. Future generations deserve to experience the same beautiful forests, lakes, and parks that have inspired Canadians for centuries, and every positive action helps move us toward that goal. Before ending today's walk, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to everyone working on the front lines of this emergency. Thousands of firefighters are spending long days and sleepless nights in challenging conditions, often far from their families. Pilots fly repeated water bomber missions through heavy smoke. Emergency medical teams remain on standby. Meteorologists monitor changing weather patterns, and countless volunteers provide support behind the scenes. Many residents in affected communities have also faced evacuation orders, leaving their homes with little notice while hoping their neighborhoods remain safe. My thoughts are with all of them. Their courage, professionalism, and dedication deserve our deepest respect. At the same time, I hope we remember the wildlife that also depends on these forests. Birds, mammals, insects, and countless other species all face tremendous challenges during large wildfires. Protecting forests means protecting an entire ecosystem that supports life in many different forms. Although today's smoky skies remind us of nature's power, they also remind us of the compassion and cooperation that people show during difficult times. That spirit of working together gives me confidence that Canada will continue learning, improving, and becoming more resilient in the years ahead. As my short walk comes to an end, I find myself looking toward the orange sky one last time. I sincerely hope that by the time you're watching this video, the smoke has begun to clear, the air quality has improved, and the brave firefighters have made significant progress in containing these wildfires. Perhaps the next time I visit this park, the sky will once again be a brilliant blue. Children will be laughing on the playground. Families will be enjoying picnics, and people will once again feel comfortable spending hours outdoors without worrying about the air they breathe. Moments like these remind us to appreciate the ordinary days that often pass unnoticed. Thank you very much for joining me on today's walk through Mississauga and for spending part of your day with me. If you enjoyed this peaceful walk and found today's discussion informative, I hope you'll continue exploring with me in future videos as we discover more parks, neighborhoods, and beautiful places across the Greater Toronto Area. Until next time, please stay safe, take good care of yourself and your loved ones. Pay attention to local air quality advisories whenever wildfire smoke is present. And let's all continue doing our part to protect the natural beauty that makes Canada such a wonderful place to call home. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in my next walking adventure.